is the Western Area Power Authority. We receive 0.7 megawatts of power around the clock from WAPA, is the acronym. One of the conditions of receiving WAPA power is the submittal of an integrated resource plan. The original concept was for KMEA to basically compile all the EMP cities and submit it as a group. That was done. They had collected data. I think Bill had submitted some data back in April. And, they basically compiled an aggregate plan, submitted it in April by their deadline, and then in May, KMEA was advised, no, since all the members really don't coordinate their planning, it's just an aggregate for supply side, each city has to submit their own plan. Well, I got the word in late May, or May 30th to be precise. Got a hold of Greg, and Greg Wilson with 21st Century. He submitted a proposal, and then he and Tony Turner will give you a presentation on this. Just a little background, those of you who don't know Greg, he's been with 21st Century Management Consultants since 1990. Prior to that, he was on the staff of KCC as a senior regulatory auditor. He was chief accountant, finance director for KMEA, and an accountant manager for Water One. Since 2000, he's helped Gardner. I first met Greg when I started in 2001, and he and SIGA were doing a study of basically the electrical system, just trying to get us to understand how we needed to start managing this system. He was also involved in the Keep Purcell study, and then 2004 and 2012 cost of services. He's going to proceed and kind of lead you through why a IRP is needed and some of the steps, and then ultimately solicit some input from you all as to things you would like to see in the IRP. I'll turn it over to Greg, and then Tony Turner will be assisting him. He's also formerly with KMEA, and Greg will tell you more about Tony. So with that, I will turn it over to Greg.
Thank you, David. As David said, Tony is going to be assisting us in this project. A couple of background information on Tony. Tony was at KMEA for 20-some years, and he was tasked with doing IRPs for other KMEA cities for the Western Area Power Administration back from 2002, I think, all the way through helping those cities develop their IRPs. So we've got somebody who is familiar with the process. In addition, he actually won an award from Western Area Power Administration for his effectiveness at developing IRPs. So hopefully we've got some inside information for him. What I'd like to do is kind of walk through what an IRP is, why you have to do it, and what I need to get out of you guys tonight if we could. There's no final, obviously this is a moving target and you can help us at any time, but try to give us some direction about how we want to proceed on developing the programs that support an IRP. And do I hit that button? Oh, got it. Got the right one. Thank you. You know, Gardner's never implemented an IRP. They've always just focused on the supply side of the need for a resource. Supply being generation, purchase power. But Western wants you, Western Area Power Administration, they're called Western, they require people who receive hydropower from the federal government that you not only use the supply side, but you also have to look at the demand side. And the demand side are things like air conditioning, load control, or energy audits, the consumption of electricity. We've never done that inside the city. Well, there's going to be some budget requirements when we start implementing those programs. And so one of the things we're going to have to focus on as we go through this process is how much we want to ask the council to spend on these types of programs. And basically discuss with them the purpose of why we need to have demand-side programs. And what we're going to talk to you guys with tonight is give us some direction on some of the objectives of the IRP. Objectives are things that give us an idea about how to structure programs. One objective might be, for example, we want to see some reduction in energy usage at the residential level. And how do we accomplish that objective? We can do energy audits, which has been done across the states. We can put in load control equipment, which obviously is much more expensive. We can set up rate structures that allow send signals to customers about how they're using electricity. So there's lots of ways to get the residential customers to respond to your their usage patterns if we try to incorporate programs that they can understand. And use of renewable energy and conservation are other options available for meeting goals of reduction of energy. And so we'll be, Western has some strict rules that are required in the IRP. We have to include our future generating resources. Just a sidelight on the supply side, we've requested Omaha Public Power District, which is one of your suppliers, to see if they would allow us to extend the existing agreement, and they've indicated that they're not going to allow to do that because of their internal issues. They're going to retire coal plants, and they're going to institute demand-side programs that basically does not allow them to sell off-system energy. And so they've told us that they have no interest in extending or renewing the agreement after 2018. So that's kind of introduced, actually it comes along at a pretty good time. It allows us to incorporate some new supply side discussions in this IRP in addition to demand side. So the plan must include looking at your distribution system and what we're doing to try to save energy on the distribution system. Looks at how you go about dispatching your resources. In our case, we're in KMEA, and KMEA is a supplier of our resources, so a manager of our resources. So basically, the dispatching side's already taken care of it for us. So, and then one of the requirements that Western has is that we have to prove that we're saving energy. We have to show them, and the way you do that is you have to give an annual update to these IRPs. So what you see here is a commitment that has to be made by the city. And the commitment is that you will introduce an IRP into your city, you will develop programs that meet your energy objectives, and you will monitor those programs and report on those programs to Western. It's all for the fact that you're getting federal hydropower. And it's one of the requirements of their Energy Act that mandates these commitments. And again, the city has never been required to do this IRP process. And so it's going to be a new process, and we're going to have to work with not only you guys, but we're going to have to work with other departments, the planning department, the housing, whoever makes the housing issues, ordinances, the codes. We're going to have to work with the distribution people. We're going to have to work with the utilities, both water, wastewater, to find out if there's savings that can be done there. So there's going to have to be a comprehensive analysis of where we can find savings in energy conservation. As you can see, you have to look at supply side, demand side, and then you have certain considerations that you have to pay attention to. You have to have an action plan that basically says, here's how we're going to accomplish the objectives and goals that we've established, and how we're going to monitor the programs that we're putting in place. And it's an ongoing process that will